deep breaths for me this evening. Good evening to everybody. This is Christopher Dagen coming to you on Saturday the 7th of August for our live stream Music Revival online program. This is our in-concert session of concert classics where we focus on the classical piano repertoire. I'm taking deep breaths because tonight's program is a really challenging one for me. Full of drama and intensity, and it is, I'm sure, going to be a little bit challenging for you as well. It's a really amazing program though, and a piece of music that I've been looking forward to playing for you for some time. It has been requested by more than one piece and person, and that is the Beethoven Sonata, the Appasionata, Opus 57. So welcome to our live stream program. It's a beautiful Saturday. It's been a wonderful, beautiful day again. Beautiful warm sunshine, the cold what we were experiencing, the cold days and cold nights, and the polar air that was venturing into this part of the world has completely disappeared for now, thank goodness. Not that it's going to not appear, I'm sure it'll be back, there'll be more cold snaps, but it's such a wonderful time of year. In fact, it's even feeling quite warm here in the studio. I'm feeling a little bit like I'm about to work up a sweat for various reasons with the warmth around. If you are able to support me in this project, of course, I'm very grateful for financial support, and I'm also very grateful for all the incredibly positive remarks that have come back on the survey that I sent out on my mailing list earlier in the week. It's been wonderful to receive such positive feedback. Very interesting to see what everyone is really enjoying and what they would like to hear more of, and even one or two things that they'd like to hear less of. So that's also been rather intriguing. But it's always good to know exactly what people, you as the audience, what people are really enjoying and would like to hear more of from me. So this evening's program, in concert classics, I always try to focus on some of the standard classical repertoire. And tonight I'll be playing, as I said, the Sonata in F minor, Opus 57 by Ludwig van Beethoven, the Appasionata. Now this is really not only an important work in terms of the development of music, it is really seen to be as one of Beethoven's most powerful works, most dramatic works, most popular works. I'm not sure if it's everyone's favorite because in fact it is incredibly dramatic. It's full of darkness, it's full of torment, the storm, the determination, the waves of terror that keep coming back and back and back again. In fact, there's hardly, even in the final moments where Beethoven, often in his sonatas and his music, triumphs over the despair and triumphs through all of the trouble in his life and works it through and ends up in this radiant, positive mood. In this particular sonata, he does not do that, and he triumphs into the moments of absolute terror and deepest, darkest determination and despair. So it really is a very dramatic work. It's a pivotal work in terms of the piano repertoire and in terms of music because it really is such a simple plan that Beethoven puts together that he executes with such precision. And it really brings about the greatest contrasts between the quietest moments and the most powerful climaxes. He builds and builds the rhythm and the intensity, and the music works in waves until it really reaches a breaking point. I can only imagine on Beethoven's piano, which was not as advanced in terms of its power and strength as the piano we have now. The Beethoven's piano must have really struggled and really he must have really suffered in a way to try and produce the kind of sound and the kind of volume that he wanted to. And I think in some ways that the piano of the time almost reaching breaking point was part of the process. This feeling that the music and the piano cannot actually contain the intensity and the total expression of the magnitude of the force which Beethoven is wanting to express the music. It's favored by many piano virtuosos because of its difficulty, the number of notes and the intensity and the brilliance of it. And it's in the concert hall works particularly well because of these grand contrasts between very loud and brilliant and quieter passages. So in this evening's performance, I know because of the microphones, the live stream medium where everything is condensed into a more moderate package. In other words, you don't really hear much contrast between the louds and softs at home. Everything is moderated by the systems, whether we like it or not. And so I'm going to trying to adopt a more medium approach, but still with an intensity, intensity of feeling that is just more in the detail and not so much in the quality or the quantity of sound that I'm trying to produce. It's a very challenging work. As I say, I'm taking deep breaths because really any time one plays this piece of music, it's an incredibly difficult experience to go into these very tormented, dark places. But as I said to a friend of mine today, it's important for us to take note of these moments, to experiencing these things and to experience the darkness, because sometimes we are able to reflect on ourselves and see the darkness within ourselves. And when it's all finished, it actually can help us appreciate the light which is outside and the light which is after this. Beethoven really at this time in his life, this is in the central part of his repertoire, Opus 57, along with sonatas like the Waldstein and the Les Adieux, belongs to the sort of heroic portion of his output where he's really focusing on the pivotal essence and the moments that he's trying to bring together in the most precise and concise, the most simple way, very pronounced way of producing a simple moment. And so, as I say, you get these huge troughs and peaks within the music. And within that, it's this very kind of grand gestures that he makes. It's very strong. And as I say, it's a very difficult thing to actually control, and a very difficult thing as a pianist to perform and to go through those places. He writes in 3 movements. The first movement full of mystery at first, and then these grand outbursts, and then the music descends, really reaches forward at great pace with great intensity. In the second movement, he has a very interesting, very simple hymn in the lower parts of the piano, and he repeats this hymn again and again with greater ornamentation. And as the music becomes more, the notes become more and more, and the intensity of the music grows, he moves up into the piano as though the music's growing and rising up into the air before it descends back into the simplest of moments that he started. And then it leads directly. There's no break. There's a direct lead into the third movement. He ends the second movement on a sort of uncertain chord, just when you think the movement is going to close on a final chord of closure. There's a moment of doubt, sort of surprise, what are we going to happen next? And then a great outburst, and he goes helter-skelter into the third movement, which was a torrential storm, this gurgling underneath of quiet passages, storming back and forward, and then great outbursts. And then in the final moments of the piece, it gets faster and faster and faster until, as I say, there's this grand moment, this incredibly determined moment which brings the music to a final close. So I hope you're going to enjoy this piece of music. As I say, I'm always very interested to see in these programs how I can bring you some of the great classical repertoire. I think it is a piece of music that doesn't really suit the live stream medium, as I say, because of this loss of the drama and of the sound, the contrast in sound, but yet I think it's still very important. I would love to be able to play this music. I do normally play it from memory, but again, the risk of it is just uncertain, and using the music now creates a whole problem for me because I'm never quite sure whether I should be looking at the music or looking at my hands or going into my head or where I'm actually going to lead. So I've seen from experience, it's fraught with problems, but I'm going to do my best. Bear with me, hang on with me, and I hope you are going to enjoy this performance and this reading, you might say, this airing of the Sonata Opus 57 in F minor, the Appasionata by Ludwig van Beethoven. Yes, well, gosh, everyone got excited about that. As I did say, that was a very dramatic work, very unusual experience performing such intense and dramatic music to a silent audience. It's very difficult to work up the imagination when it's actually just you. And of course, Lucy decides. Lucy's been feeling very needy recently this week, last few days. I'm not sure why. And has decided in the middle of that this is her time to squeak and be heard. Hello, Luce. That wasn't the best entrance of yours, I have to tell you. It was in the middle of my Appasionata third movement. And it was accompanied by squeaks, and I didn't see any squeaks being written by Beethoven. There was no demand for Beethoven squeaks in the third movement. I didn't see there for a cue, enter little Lucy here. Anyway, here you are. I hope you're doing well. Of course, everyone has come to visit, so here we're going to have a little attempt to see everyone. Here's little Wendy Pop also. Little Wendy Pop's coming to say hello. Yes, the music's very dramatic. It's very noisy. There's lots going on. Off you go. Oh, you're falling off. Off you go. There we go. And the Frieda's decided to go off on the other side. So that was the Sonata, Opus 57, Ludwig van Beethoven, his Appasionata. As I say, an incredibly dramatic piece, a piece that really demands a grand space, a grand acoustic, and a large piano and a large audience, and not always the easiest to perform it right up front, but I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you, for those of you who've never heard that before, I'm sure you'll be absolutely astounded by the intensity of which Beethoven, the mood that he puts into that music, and for those of you who do know it, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to complete my program this evening with two compositions by Frédéric Chopin, also particularly the second of the two pieces, a very dramatic and quite a dark swirling energy. So we're staying with these very dramatic energies this evening. These are two Polonaises. Now we know very well the Polonaises Opus 53 and Opus 40, number 1, the military and the heroic Polonaises. These are very optimistic, grand pieces. But these two compositions, the Polonaise Opus 26, number 1 in C-sharp minor, is a much earlier work and a much more lyrical work. This is actually really, I think it's sort of almost a combination of a nocturne in places, very lyrical, but still has something of that grandeur and the energy of the Polonaise, a Polish dance that expressed Chopin's grand, heroic love for his homeland, Poland. It was written about Chopin playing these Polonaises and the description of the music and how he composed them. Someone wrote something along the lines of, they are cannon shots disguised as roses. So despite the fact there's lyricism in Chopin's most fluid, beautiful writing, underneath all of this there's this great sense of drama. And particularly in their second piece, the Polonaise Opus 44 in F-sharp minor, this is a really very dark work of Chopin's, a sort of whirling energy that keeps going back, relentless in its patterns, but I think there's something quite unique, always something unique about Chopin's compositions, but there is a real intensity and a real authentic, unfiltered, you might say, feeling of intensity that Chopin brings to this music. A refrain that keeps coming back again and again and again, and also with demands a grand physical space to play. I'm going to try and tailor it to this more intimate medium. In the middle of the Chopin Polonaise Opus 44, the second of the two pieces, Chopin writes an extended, much more reflective piece. He says, in the tempo of a mazurka. I've been playing mazurkas for you quite recently. This Chopin, the traditional Polish dance that has a much simpler, almost waltz-like feel to it. But it's almost as though Chopin, in the midst of this grand statement, reflects something more intimate and more simple, less driven about his Polish heritage and within the music, but a very grand piece. So these are two compositions, the Chopin, the Polonaise Opus 26, number 1 in C-sharp minor, and the Polonaise Opus 44 in F-sharp minor. that brings us to an end in this evening's program. That's a series of very dramatic pieces. Don't say I didn't warn you at the beginning. I just ended there with the Polonaises Opus 44 by Frédéric Chopin, and before that, the Polonaises Opus 26, number 1, also by Chopin. Two quite whirling pieces of music, and before that, the Appasionata, the Sonata Opus 57. Lucy, what is it with you? Why are you being so demanding all of a sudden? Are we going to have to take you back to the SPCA? No, Lucy, you best behave. You can't just come on and demand attention all the time. Goodness. Well, it's been a rather trying session, rather hard work. I'm sorry about my one note which went out in the first movement of the Beethoven. Of course, I would then play in C sharp and F sharp minor the whole way through the program. Every piece of music which needed that piece, that note particularly. See, now, Lucy, you're quiet, as long as I'm giving you attention. So thank you very much for joining me this evening. Thank you, Barry, for the technical support. I know he's dying to be watching the rugby, which started an hour or so ago. It's on pause, so I know he's going to dive through there any second to go and catch up whatever he's missed out. If you are watching now, thank you for joining us, and hope you're not missing out on the rugby as well. And Lucy, yes, you're going to have to watch some rugby now too. Please do visit our website, musicrevival.co.za, if you're able to support me with financial support. It's the only way I can make a living at the moment, is to continue with these live stream sessions. And also, it's, as you can see, it's been rather, I've been pushing the boundaries with some extra hard work and some extra dramatic pieces, but I think at this point I'm going to step back next week and the week after. Yes, we need something a little bit calmer, something a little bit quieter, I think, and a little bit less taxing. I hope you enjoyed the selection of music. Look after yourself, stay well, keep well, and look forward to seeing you at our sessions on Wednesday and next Saturday.